Deimos, level 3 upgrade. Today I'm going to be installing a 2.4 gigahertz radio and receiver. The radio was donated to me by Jason Ayers. However guys, I'm not going to be using an Axial receiver. I'm going to be using a Fly Sky receiver that was donated to me by Kevin Major, also known as A-Town Clown 23. Thanks again you guys. Now you might be wondering, how in the world am I going to be hooking up a Fly Sky with an AX3? Well, here's a little secret. They share the same technology, so I'll be able to bind this with the remote without any issue. The only problem is I'm not going to be able to drive both RCs that are bound to this remote at the same time. But I really don't see a situation where I'm going to be wanting to drive a Rustler going 100 miles per hour along with a low C aftershock. Just not in the cards. But anyways, enough talk, let's go ahead and get this installed. First thing I gotta do is take apart the waterproof receiver box. I gotta remove 4 screws, 1 on each side and 2 on top. And now I can go ahead and pull the whole thing apart. I'm gonna unplug the ESC and the servo from the receiver. I'm gonna undo the antenna, pull the antenna tube off, and then slide the antenna out through the top of the waterproof receiver box. So now it's time to go ahead and bind the receiver. I'm going to get the plug from the ESC, I'm going to put that into the top to power it, and then I'm going to get the bind plug for the Fly Sky and plug it into channel 3. Next up, I went ahead and hooked up a battery to the ESC and I'm going to turn it on. You'll see that the receiver is blinking wildly. It's ready to be bound. Now it's time for the remote. What I'm going to do is open up this top part and you can see the bind button right there. I'm going to push that down and turn it on. And that's it. It is bound. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn both of them off. I'm going to unplug the bind plug and then I'm going to push the ESC into channel 2 and the servo into channel 1. Remember guys, 1 to turn, 2 to burn. Then I'm going to go ahead and push the antenna right through the top, pull it through, and then I'm going to attach the top of the box to the bottom by using 2 screws, 1 that goes on each side. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and push in all the wires to the right length, and then I'm going to attach the wire tie down using 2 screws. And finally, the last step is to go ahead and get the old antenna tube, cut off a smaller piece, and then just feed it onto the tip of the antenna receiver, and then push it back in to the holder. And that's it. And as you guys can see, everything works just fine. Thank you Jason Ayers and Kevin Major for these awesome donations, but this upgrade is finished with. And that was a level 3 upgrade for Deimos. And then I'm going to get the bind plug and chug. So I went as... What? Next up, I went ahead and plugged into. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn off the I'm going to turn off the means it's ready to bind. I'm going to go ahead and get the reed ear. What the heck is a reed ear? No, let's start with it off first. The ESC on. This will mean, oh, and you'll see the little light on the receiver is blinking. Next up, I went ahead and hooked up an ESC. An ESC, yeah. And that's through the top of the waterproof receiver box. Wow, oh, never mind. The screw that goes on each side. Oh, ran out of breath. The top of the receiver, that sounded weird. And that was a level 3 upgrade for Deimos. Oh, darn it.